Hi. Forgot, almost muted my mic. So I am starting a little early today, because I have things I have to do today. So I want to go ahead and start early, and if people hop on, great, and if not, it's fine. It's no big deal. If I am a little squinty, or if I end up putting my glasses on, I do not have my contacts in. So, yeah, my day was interesting today. My husband was not in town last night, and I didn't want to teach, so I didn't open up classes. And normally I don't teach on Thursday night anyway, so it wasn't anything unusual. But without him around to encourage me to go to bed because he had to work, I stayed up anyway and watched 2 movies. And so I didn't go to bed till like 3 when my alarm went off at 5:45. I did not want to wake up, to the point that if it wasn't for the VIP kid alarm being difficult to shut off when you're asleep, I would have missed my classes. So thank you, VIP kid, for your alarm, because otherwise I would not have gotten up today. I couldn't. So here's how I have my alarm set. If I'm getting up well, it really doesn't matter what time I'm getting up. I always get up after 5. My big alarm in my bedroom goes off at 5. It is across the room from me, and yet I can still manage to cut it off and not remember, because I don't remember cutting it off this morning. I had my phone set for 5:30 and 5:45. That way I'm awake enough at 5:45 to get up. I cut both of those off completely. And on my phone, all you have to do is hit the little buttons on the side. So apparently at some point I hit the button on the side. The VIP kid alarm goes off at 15 till your class, 15 minutes to your class. And at 11 minutes till my class. Hi, Evelyn. I am talking about my rough morning this morning. If it wasn't for the VIP Kid app this morning, I would not have gotten to my classes. I am good. My eyes are killing me today. How are you? I went a little early because I have some things I have to do later, so I figured I'd go ahead and start. But yeah, if it wasn't for the VIP Kid app, I would not have gotten up this morning at all. I cut off 3 different alarms before I finally figured out how to cut the VIP Kid one off, and I couldn't figure out what was going on my phone. All I knew was it kept vibrating and making noises. I just finished feedback, and I taught 7 classes this morning. Yeah, 7. But the first 6, I could barely keep my eyes open. I literally was alternating. Well, I started my contacts in, and I kept putting these drops in. And when that didn't work, I ran between classes, took my contacts out, and put these drops in. Literally every class I was putting drops in to try to keep my eyes open, and wearing my crooked glasses. So I don't have anything on right now, so everything's blurry, but finally I'm awake. It literally took me that many classes. So yeah, the VIP Kid alarm, it vibrates on my phone and rings, and I couldn't figure out what it was and why I couldn't shut it off in my sleep, and so I woke up, thankfully. So I woke up at 11 minutes till class, which is fine. It gave me time to go use the bathroom and brush my hair and throw lipstick on, that kind of thing. So I just had the best class ever. My student is level 2, near the end of level 2. I forget where she is. She's near the end. And we were working on some different words, and so she writes something on the screen in Chinese. And I said, okay, what's that mean? Because she understands conversational English. She's just learning to read it. That's where she's at. She, simple English, like, what's that mean? She understands. So she's very, very smart. And so she laughed at me, and I said, what? And then she drew an arrow, and she pointed to the word we were learning, bring. So Danny, if you watch this later, you'll love this. I'm going to teach you a few Chinese words that my student taught me in class. My pronunciation may not be the best, but I thought it was really cool that she taught me. So she said, na is bring. And if I have any native speakers who watch this later, please tell me how bad my pronunciation is, because I I know my pronunciation is not good. She would laugh when I'd say it, but she would say good. Like she said I did a good job. But I told him in feedback that I know my pronunciation was off. But she said, nah is bring. Because I was saying, like, I bring this to you, and I was handing her stuff. And so when we got on the next page, and there was like, spring brings the rain, I think it was, or something like that. I forget what the line is exactly. But she couldn't figure out the word, and I said, spring na? And she laughed at me. And because I said it funny. But yeah, so na is bring. Then the next slides, and I don't have a lot to talk about today because I got a lot of videos coming out on things I was going to talk about. But the next one was hour, and she said woman. Woman is hour, which I knew that. I do the where is it? I do the Duolingo, and sometimes I do Chinese. I haven't done it in a while, but I do Duolingo every day. And on Duolingo, I had learned that because it does not teach you words, it teaches you to use them in phrases. And so I know wo, well, I can't say it right. Wo is I, and woman is our, because it's you. Men is you. Yes, Duolingo is free. There's a pro version. I don't see any difference in it. I did the little trial. So Duolingo is very free on your phone. All you do is download it. They have all kinds of languages, and this is not a sponsored video, just in case I need to say that. Anyway, they have all kinds of languages. I've been doing it for a year, but I honestly have like kind of stalled out on it for a little while. Sometimes I didn't have time to do it. But it starts you with greetings, and then your numbers, how to say not necessarily how to say your name, but how to say names. More greetings, and then food. See all the ones I've completed. And then this is where I'm stalled out at. Contact, nation, more greetings, location, family. So it's really neat. You just click into it. Like I'll show you real quick. Click into it, and you tell it, which I've completed this, but you tell it you want to practice. And it tells you pronunciation, like how, and how means good. So how, and then you choose at the bottom the pinyin for it. Choose the bottom pinyin for it. So how is this one, and you can get it to repeat it. And then I'm not going to do that right now, a whole thing right now. But anyway, you can go through and repeat it. Once you have completed it, it will have you practice. And even sometimes before you complete it, when you're practicing, yeah, it has you practice. Now they've updated it where it's not just listening to it. It records you saying it, and it grades you on your ability to say the word, sentence, phrase, whatever, which is pretty neat. I know with Chinese, your problem is, well, one, some of the sounds are not found in the English language, like fish. She taught me fish, and that's ooh, ooh, no, ooh, ooh. See, it's those tones, the moving tones, up, down, all that. It's very hard. But ooh is fish, and you have to make the mouth thing. So while she was teaching me it, because I didn't expect her to write out the pinyin on everything, I pulled up my Translate app, and I showed her what I was doing. And so when she would teach me a word, yeah, all right. So for instance, fish. That's not how she pronounced it. She pronounced it more of a U sound. And they're pronouncing more of an E. But anyway, so she would write the characters for the word, and she would write, and so I would look up the pinyin for it and try to say it. Like I said, my pronunciation is not the best. That's not how she said it, though. No, it was the right one. So, The E though, I've like watched enough of Ed Nace and them that you're supposed to make it more of a like a closed mouth E, and he's better explaining that than I am. If you're not in his say what group, join it so you can watch him. And I love watching Anna. I think Young is her last name. Anna. They do great teaching you how to say the different words for people's names or different things. Um, and they teach you how to say things like because you're talking more in the front of your mouth, where English is more all over. And so for this letter, it was more front. But anyway, she taught me um, bring, I don't know if it's backward for y'all or not, but bring our both summer, fish, and then I asked her autumn. And autumn, she wasn't sure, so I looked it up. And the way they said it on, I got hair mouth, on uh, Google, apparently it's not how they would say it where she is, or probably just colloquially. I told you I was tired. The way she would say it. So she told me how she would say it, which is Tian, Tian, Tian. So, which is interesting. But anyway, I took this opportunity with her since she was wanting to teach me the words, willing to teach me the words, and I took it to learn them. Not necessarily so I can speak Chinese to her, but to show her that I'm trying to, because she's sitting there learning a new language, a different language, and speaking to me in my language. I figured I could at least pick up a few words here and there from her. It's, of course, better to, and that's kind of why I like Duolingo, it's better to learn them in context of sentences. Like I can hear some words and know what they kind of get the idea of what someone's saying. Not necessarily if they're speaking quickly, but if they slow it down for me, I can understand a little bit now because I've listened to so much with Duolingo. Lao Shi is teacher. So if I hear Lao Shi, that I know that they're talking about me. I've had students, who maybe are not quite so respectful, and they'll, well, for instance, I told y'all before, sometimes I've gotten like 4 teenagers in a group with iTutor, and you hear them say Chinese, 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 Lao Shi, and Chinese, Chinese, Chinese. I'm like, what'd y'all say about the teacher? And all of a sudden they're like, because they realize that I hear them, even if I don't understand it all. It's kind of funny to catch the teenagers that way. They think that they think you don't know. Evelyn, I tried to do the Spanish on Duolingo, and it put me, like, as I know a bunch of, like, I understand the simpler phrases from high school and then just in life. And yeah, it tried to put me really high. And so then I got a little frustrated. And then I was trying to do both of them at the same time, and that does not work for me. My brain does not work that way. It's funny because I have trouble learning languages anyway. I will admit I am not good at it. That is very hard for me. I did decent in high school, but I am a lot older now, a lot more tired. And yeah, so I tried. Like I know a few Spanish phrases. I know how to say thank you in quite a few languages and hello in many languages. That's something I've learned. I mean, even Chinese is shishi, is thank you. So I've learned a few different languages, but in that sense, but I'm not the kind to really learn a lot of languages. I would love to, and if I ever was to go to China, I would probably, which is part of the reason I'm learning some language I'd like to go one day. I'd probably buckle down and learn a little more if I knew I was going soon. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. I told you I was stupid last night and I stayed up and should have slept. So I'm behind on the times. If it hasn't come on TV or been on Netflix or one of the streaming apps that I have not watched it. So I watched the live action Beauty and the Beast finally. I had been hesitant. I didn't know if it would be any good, but actually it was pretty good. I liked it. And then I watched, after that came on Snow White and the Huntsman, and I wasn't sleepy right that second. I got sleepy in the movie, during the movie, but I was sleepy right when it started. And so I watched it last night. And that was better than I thought. I don't like the actress in it. She doesn't have a great range. Like, her expressions are all the same. But yeah. But I liked it. That was cute. If you hadn't seen it. Not for kids. Definitely not for kids. The Snow White one, obviously. But it was interesting. But yeah, I stayed up way too late. It's my own fault. I started with watching 10 Things I Hate About You, which is one of my favorite movies. I started by watching the end of it, and then I kind of just kept watching movies. But granted, I don't get to watch movies and TV and all that very often. Most of the time, my kids take over the TV. If I am in the den with them, they watch what they want to watch. Well, more the 4-year-old. And so, yeah, I don't watch many movies and TV stuff. So, like, the last time they were out of town, I sat down and watched Maleficent, the original one, and went back and watched an old TV show I hadn't seen in years. I want to see Aladdin. I haven't seen it yet. Well, obviously, like I said. Okay, so in the past 10 years of being married, 10 and a half. Oh, wow, 10 and a half years. My husband and I have been to the movies together 2 times. One time was when we went to the beach with my mom and my brother, and they watched Kieran right after my dad died. Oh, yeah, I want to see Lion King too. I definitely want to see it. My mother-in-law said it wasn't as good as the original, but I think they were expecting it to be more like the original. And there's not a lot of stuff she really likes, so I wouldn't take her as a movie critic. She's very, very, very picky. My husband's aunt thought it was pretty good, though, her sister. So, anyway, Steven and I have been to movies twice. One time was, like I said, at the beach. We went and saw something. I don't even remember what it was, something stupid. And then the next time we went to the movies was one of our anniversaries. We went and saw some Christian movie. I don't remember now which movie came out near our anniversary. But I think we were the only ones in the theater. Like, we sat in the middle. Like, we had the whole theater ourselves, which was nice. And we went during the daytime too, though. That was where we used to live at. We used to live near Augusta, Georgia. Augusta, Georgia is home of the Masters golf tournament, and our anniversary actually falls near Masters Week. And so when we went to the movies that time, it was during the Masters, so nobody was at the movie theater. It was during the middle of the day. We both had off from work, and yeah, so we went and saw that. That was the whole 2 times we've been. I've been one other time in the last 10 years, and I took my son. When I was pregnant with Keena, I took him to see the SpongeBob 3D movie that came out. And that was, I decided I'm not going back to the movie theater after that. I think I spent $40 to see the 3D movie, and I didn't buy popcorn or anything because we went out to eat afterwards. I think the tickets alone were almost close to $40. So I decided then that if we wanted to watch a movie, we would either rent it from Redbox, watch it on Netflix, watch it on TV, whatever. So I'm behind on movies. If it hadn't come out on one of those, I hadn't seen it. And even if it has, I don't have the time or the want to sit down and watch a movie most of the time. There's a few movies I would love to see, but I mean, it's not going to be the end of the world if I don't. But yeah. Anyway, what else was I talk about? So I put out a video yesterday about the referral policy. So I really don't want to talk about that. And I got a lot of videos coming out. Thanks to Evelyn, your suggestions, Kelly's, and Cindy's, I kind of made videos on everything y'all asked me about on the post I did the other day, and I have them posted to come out. I usually put videos out every Tuesday and Thursday, so I have them coming out. Oh, and I finally did a new devotional, and it's coming out Sunday morning, but like right at 9:15 my time, so 8:15 or so your time. I tried to do it earlier, so that way if people went to church, if they wanted to watch it beforehand, it's not long. Um, Still longer than I mean. My videos are always longer than I mean. I ramble though. That's part of it. But you get to see me cry because that devotional really hit home. Um, wow, Aladdin's the only movie in theater you've seen for the past 7 years. See, you're the same as me. We don't go to the movies. It's too expensive. And then if you take a whole family, I mean, you might as well just take out a loan um, to try to take a whole family to the movies. It is outrageous. Like I said, he and I went, just Kieran and I went. And yeah, and we didn't get popcorn or anything. Because the line was so long. By the time we got in there, we didn't really have the time to get it. And I was like, dude, we're going to eat afterwards. We don't need to eat a ton here. We went to Chick-fil-A afterwards. We had a date night for Valentine's. This was back when I was, like I said, when I was pregnant with Keena. Not long after I got pregnant with Keena, Steven moved out. He started cheating on me and moved out. And so instead of me being upset over Valentine's Day, because he wasn't around, he was actually supposed to be going on a Valentine's date with her. With the woman he was living with. Yeah. Oh, you are? You're finding the ingredients? I hope y'all like it. I mean, obviously, I told you like all the stuff I put in it. Tweak it however you want. I just was giving you what I do. You can do different beans. You can do different vegetables if you don't like something or you do. I like kidney beans. My husband doesn't. So I don't buy kidney beans and put it in stuff. He does not like them. He doesn't mind beans. He doesn't like kidney beans. I don't know why. Just his thing. So I don't put it in stuff. The one thing I will say is do the ranch seasoning and the taco seasoning flavor packets. If you do, like, I should have done with 2 pounds of ground beef, I should have done 2 packets of ranch and 2 packets of taco seasoning. I didn't. So I just used other ingredients, other seasonings I had in the cabinet. But I usually say a pound for each pound of meat, do 1 packet of each. Because that's what makes it really have the taco soup flavor is the ranch and the taco seasoning. And then I tweak it. I put more seasonings and stuff in there I want. Like I put like some garlic and I put like you've been through cheating, yeah. Um yeah, he's cheated on me a few times. The last time was when he moved out and lived with another woman and her kids. That was the worst. Before that, it had been all emotional cheating. Like he would just like be distant from me and talking to somebody and talking a bunch of shit, but he didn't take any action. The last time he did, and that took a long time to get over. But you know what? I grew a lot stronger. A lot stronger. Um, I was like I said, I was pregnant. I had a son to take care of. I had a daughter on the way. I didn't have time to deal with that. Um, so instead of getting upset and stressing myself out and the baby, I just I just didn't care. I just didn't care. It hurt, yes, but I made my peace with what he was doing. That was on him. It wasn't on me. It wasn't my fault. I didn't cause him to stray. I didn't do anything to him to encourage it. So, yeah, I prayed a lot and I cried and cried and cried out to God uh, to let me divorce him. I was begging God to let me divorce him. And every time I read the Bible, and the Bible even says you can divorce due to infidelity. And every time I prayed it, I had a sure answer from God, and that was no. No. I was like, but he's cheating on me. He's living with someone else. No. So I figured out how to let him see that I wasn't going to let it bother me. I met her. Yeah, we are. We are very strong. And if he was going to have my son around her, I wanted to meet her. So I met her. I went to dinner with them. I And that was hard. That was very hard. But I went to dinner with him, and her. I made him visit his son every week, multiple times a week. Um, I did not want my son over in her house around her kids. I knew who she was from the area. I knew who her family was. More importantly, I knew who she was and her kids were. And yeah, so I didn't want my son around him. So I made him come to the house to see his son. And then during all that, he realized he was being an idiot. He had made a really bad decision, and then he got cancer. So I figured out why God was telling me to not divorce him. He got cancer, and he almost died, and realized that he screwed up big time. And in some ways, I felt kind of like God was punishing him for what he did. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know that that's what God was doing. I'm not going to assume that was, but it kind of just the timing seemed like it. Right about the time he moved back home. Did he move on back home? I don't remember if he moved back home or if he moved in with his parents. He might have moved back home, but more as a co-parenting situation, not a we're together situation. But anyway, he moved back home, and he got cancer and terminal cancer, 2 different types. And yeah, he's in full remission from both. We don't, through the grace of God only. Through the grace of God, we never had to pay on those medical bills. I don't know how that worked. We did not have insurance. He did not have insurance. But the doctors, knowing that he didn't have insurance, never once billed us. He went through he went through, which one was first? Multiple myeloma. When he found out he was in remission, yeah, he did. He definitely used it for good. He found out he was in remission, and about a week later, he had to go back and run more. They had to run more tests because when they found out he was in remission from multiple myeloma, he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. When he was as soon as he went into remission from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, he was diagnosed again with multiple myeloma. So between the 2 cancers, he had them 3 times before he was in full remission. He has not had any symptoms, any issues, any exams. Really, honestly, he hadn't even had anything at all. It hasn't showed up it showed up in his blood work. Honestly, he found out about it because it showed up in his blood work through his diabetes, through his diabetic normal blood work. It showed up that he had it, and there was abnormalities, and there have been no abnormalities since his remission. So not that it couldn't come back, but it hasn't. He was sick for about a little over maybe a year-ish or so. Something like that. But yeah, that Christmas that Kina was a baby and all, we thought he was going to die. He was real thin, and he looked like he was on death's door. But anyway. But yes, God used it for his good. God used it for his glory. And our family is much stronger now than we ever were. And he has not cheated since. He has not even done anything remotely like that since. Not even like, that's part of the reason we have a shared Facebook page. So yeah, if you ever wondered why we share a Facebook page, uh, yeah, that was why. Um, but yeah, so anyway, just a little bit of our history. Nothing I'm ashamed of. God has used it all for His glory, and so I'm not ashamed of what happened. Um, it is something I had to learn and grow from, and it is possible only through the grace of God to move past infidelity. It is not possible on your own. It is not possible under your own strength. It is not possible to forgive. And there's still some scars. I mean, sometimes something he says or something will hurt me. But was he present at his daughter's birth? Okay. Well, okay. No, he would never miss the birth. Now I will tell you that. He would never have missed being in the hospital with me, taking me to the hospital and all that for the kids. But the funny part with Keena's birth, I don't know if I've ever told y'all the birth story, but I was induced with both my kids. Both times it was near the due date. And with Keena, I had been working. I worked the day before I was induced. Yeah, he would never miss his kids. He loves his kids. It was never about the kids. It was about him. It wasn't even about me. It was about his infidelity. It was about him. But no, he took me to the hospital and all that. But he was back home before she was born. But anyway, yeah. So with my son, I was only in labor 6 hours. And so when I was pregnant with my daughter, the doctor went ahead and said, well, we're going to induce this one too to make sure that you don't have the kid at home. Because I lived about 40 minutes from the hospital, 45 minutes from the hospital. And with traffic and all, it ended up being like an hour. And I mean, I popped Kieran out in 6 hours with induction. That's not normal. So they wanted to make sure I did not have the baby at home. And who texted me? So anyway. Oh, my husband. Speaking of the devil, he knows I'm talking about him. Every time I talk about him on these, he texts me. Like all day yesterday, he didn't text me at all. He only texted me when he got to work, at lunch, and when he got off. He just texted me. It's so funny. But I mean, he is subscribed to my channel, but I know he's not watching right now. But anyway, Keena. So I worked the day before I had her. It was the day before the graduation? I think it was graduation. Yeah. So I was working at Head Start program, and we had the graduation for our kids because they were moving up on Tuesday. And then Wednesday and Thursday we're supposed to be cleaning and packing up our classrooms so they could be cleaned during the summer. So I worked Tuesday, and then I took Wednesday and Thursday off to have my baby. After Thursday, we were out of work for 8 weeks, paid, but out of work for 8 weeks for summer. So I actually had 8 weeks of maternity leave that I didn't have to use, maternity leave for. I hadn't worked there long enough to get anything, to get paid. So actually God took care of that too. But yeah, so I had her on Wednesday. We went in that morning, and we got to the hospital like really early. And they had us wait and wait and wait and wait and wait before we went in. It was like an hour or two before we had to wait before we could go to a room. And they got us to the room. They hooked us up. And since there was a lot of births that day, my nurse said, well, if you're thinking about having an epidural, just go ahead and have it early. She said, your labor moves fast anyway, because we'd already talked about my previous labor. She goes, so just go ahead and have it early. That way we'll get you on the books early, and that way you don't have to worry about being in pain. I was like, okay, cool, sweet. So I got my epidural, and I wasn't even like 2 centimeters dilated. Like I didn't have anything. Like I wasn't supposed to have any pain. The epidural was put in wrong. It went, it hit the sciatic nerve. And so instead of numbing, it numbed my stomach where the contractions were supposed to be. But yeah, it is. It was very brutal. I was working at a Head Start center. So I had poverty children, low income children, who some parents were awesome and amazing, and some parents weren't. And so you had some rough issues and instances. And also learned to drive a school bus when I was pregnant and had to take and pass my CDL. But I don't have it now. I let it go. But yeah, I did a lot of stuff when I was pregnant with her. But anyway, I worked up to the day before I had her. I did graduation, and then the next morning I went in to have the baby. Because the parents were like, "Oh, what's your plans for the summer?" I was like, "Oh, I'm going to have this baby tomorrow." I was patting my stomach. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to have this baby tomorrow." They goes, "You're 9 months pregnant?" I was like, "Yeah." I never looked it. I never looked 9 months pregnant. But yeah, I worked the day before, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go have the baby tomorrow." And they're like, "Tomorrow? Tomorrow?" Like, yeah, tomorrow. Why are you here? Because I want to get done with graduation first. Like, of course. Like it never in my mind was made. I didn't think anything of working up to the day before I had her. But anyway, I worked the day before I had her. Went in and they put the epidural in wrong. And so all of my contractions, my stomach was numb, but all of my contractions went straight through my sciatic nerve, down my right leg. And I didn't realize what it was at first. I just felt pain in my leg, and I would feel the pain. I looked at the nurse and said, "Am I having a contraction?" And she said, "Yeah." Well, it got worse and worse and worse. So I asked them to redo it because I was in tears going through some of the contractions because it wasn't that my stomach was contracting and it hurt. It was that my leg hurt so bad. The pain was just, I couldn't get comfortable. I was rolling back and forth. I was just crying. It hurt so bad. And I'm not the type to cry and moan and whine if I'm in labor. Yeah, I didn't look very pregnant. With Kieran, when I went to the hospital to have him, they thought I was 6 months along and I was just getting checked. And I was like, no, 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 I'm going to be induced. With Keena, I looked closer to like 7.5 months. I lost like 40 pounds when I was pregnant with her. So I looked a little more pregnant, 40 or 50. I don't remember. Dang, I looked more pregnant than I did with him, but I still didn't look very pregnant. That's part of me being overweight. At least they didn't question me when I had her, though. They did think I was due. They believed me. But yeah, so they went to get the anesthesiologist to redo my epidural. And of course, if they're doing an epidural, the family has to leave the room. It's only the anesthesiologist and the nurse. Well, as they check me before they do this, right? They always check you before they have you sit up to do anything. Because they broke my water that morning. And when they broke my water, the doctor said, "Well, I'll see you at lunchtime to have the baby." Literally what he said to me. And he monitored me at his office, but he was still seeing patients. So they checked me and I was 4 centimeters, just 4 centimeters. And so they sat me up on the side of the bed. And as soon as they did, and they started pulling the epidural out, because they leave the little thing in there, they pulled it out. I said, "The baby's coming now." I said, "I've got to lay down. The baby's coming now." And they went, "Oh, okay." Well, the anesthesiologist, I glimpsed him running out of the room. I didn't know where he was going. He was just leaving me. Apparently, he went to get Steven. Steven was down the hall in the waiting room. So the anesthesiologist takes off out of the room. One of the nurses takes off to the door to try to call my doctor. The other nurse is near me trying to monitor everything. Nobody's really paying attention to me. A contraction hit. I was laying back on the bed. A contraction hit, and I looked in right before a contraction hit, it was, well, if you have a vaginal birth, it was burning. It's called the ring of fire. And when you're crowning, it burns. And I could feel all of that, which when you're having epidural, you're not supposed to feel it, but I could. And I was like, I looked at the nurse and said, "I don't think I can do this." She goes, "You don't have a choice." And she turned away for a second, and literally with the next contraction, Keena fell out onto the bed. As I always say, she delivered herself because she just went, I never pushed. I literally had no control. My body just decided she was time to her to go, and she fell out onto the bed. The nurses grab her up and start cleaning. And she starts, of course, crying. They're like wiping her up, cleaning her up and all. And Steven comes to the door and he said afterwards, he goes, "I was like, I know she didn't have the baby without me." And all he heard was crying. He goes, and like, he still has a little bit of trauma from the fact that like he went down the hall for me to have an epidural and came back and there was a baby. I was like, and well, when he walked in, of course, it looks like um, if you've had a vaginal birth, they drop the second part of the table. They have you on these special tables. They drop part of the table out so that you have somewhere for everything, kind of the yucky stuff to go, and the doctor can get up to you and can catch. Um, when you literally say the baby's coming, they don't have time to set all that up and to protect against what's going to happen. And so he said it looked like he said it looked like a bloodbath in there. Like it was just, he said that was traumatic for him. Like he walked in and sees me, like my legs are still up, the baby's out crying over there, everything's like on the bed in a mess. And anyway, he didn't know who to go to first. He came on to me because they brought the baby, and I did the skin to skin. They brought the baby to me. And then my hi, Mary Ann. You have to go back and watch all this. I'm not going to retell the whole story, but I'm talking about Keena's birth now. We were talking about a lot of other things. So you can go back and catch up. But I was talking about that when I had her, I was at 4 centimeters. They were redoing my epidural because I was having sciatic nerve contractions. And the baby started coming. And like I said, only 4 centimeters, the baby started coming. So I lay back on the bed, and the baby came out on the bed. My husband is still in trauma from it. He said it was a bloodbath. It was very gory. They had to bring the doctor in. So my doctor comes in, and I've already have the baby on my chest. And Steven's over here beside me, and the baby, I'm holding the baby. And I looked at the doctor, and I said, "You're late." He just started laughing because he had told me he'd be back at lunchtime, and it was 11. She was born at 11 and 11:01. And so yeah, it was really funny. I was like, "You're late," and he said, "Well, I just can't run like I used to." And so he, of course, checked me out. I didn't have any tears or any issues at all from it. She just came out, and yeah, so she was fine. She was perfect. She was, now I think the difference was like Kieran was, I pushed for an hour with him. He was 8 pounds 4 ounces. Keena was 6 pounds 11. I want to say 11 or 14 or something ounces. Anyway, she was under 7 pounds. And so yeah, I don't know if that made it easier. I don't know. She wasn't nearly, they expected her to be like 8 pounds, but she wasn't. But yeah, she just delivered herself. So that's what I always say. She delivered herself. She potty trained herself. She is Miss Independent. She thinks she can do everything on her own. But yeah. But yes, to answer your question, Evelyn, because you asked me, was Steven there? Technically, he was in the hospital. No, he was not in the room because he didn't have time to get back to the room. The baby came out too quick. There was literally the time the anesthesiologist made it down to the room and the time Steven made it back up there. And literally that was just 2 minutes, if that, the baby was born. So, yeah. So he would have liked to have been there. He was mad at me that I had the baby without him. Yeah, it was crazy. That was a crazy birth story. It didn't traumatize me. I was glad because as soon as she was born, no more sciatic nerve contractions, no more pain compared to what I had been feeling. Like all of that went away. Your body's still working and all that. And the doctor did deal with all that. But I mean, compared to before, it was nothing. So, and within half an hour, like in the time it took them to clean me up and to take her to the nursery, they had me up walking around again because my epidural I didn't have it in my legs. It was worn off. And they had me up walking again. They moved me onto a room. And then I was like in a room. I was in the room. They told me to order lunch. Oh yeah, he was definitely nearby. He was down the hall. They had me order lunch before I left the delivery room so that when I got to my, because the hospital is they have you deliver in one part, and then down the hall is where they move you to have your room to stay. And so they had me order lunch after they delivered me. And then while the baby was getting cleaned up and all that, and everybody was oohing all over the baby, and I was by myself. And so then they moved me to my room, and I was in that room for a while. And the nurse came in to check me or something. And I said, "When do I get my baby back?" I said, "Nobody's in here. I'm kind of lonely. Like, I'm bored." I ate lunch and relaxed, but I was like, I was like, when do I get the baby back? I was so bored because I think I had my phone with me or something, but at that time I wasn't like I didn't have as much stuff on my phone. I think I posted about the baby, and I don't know. It was funny, but everybody was oohing and ahhing over the baby. Nobody, of course, when you have a baby, nobody cares about the mama anymore. It's all about the baby, which is great, and I'm cool with that. But I was by myself. I was bored. Finally, Steven came in the room with me because everybody else was still with the baby, and I was like, "How's she doing?" Good. I was like, "Okay, I'm bored." They let me shower that day. The doctor was going to send me home the next day, but Steven had to work, so I stayed in the hospital 2 days just because I could. I went home on that. So I had her on Wednesday. I went home on Friday, and Steven took me home, and he had to work Saturday, and there was nothing to eat in the house, like hardly anything that we wanted to eat. So on Saturday, I loaded the kids up in the car, my 3-day-old daughter and my son, and I went shopping. I had a little carrier that I had from when. No, I didn't even use that. I just had her wrapped in a blanket on my chest and walked around Dollar General, which was nearby, and Kieran stayed with me. Kieran pushed the buggy, and I held the baby, and we got the groceries we needed. So yes, I went shopping 3 days after I gave birth. But I didn't have pain down there like I had with him. I didn't have pain. I didn't take pain medicine. It was easy. I would say it's an easy birth. My doctor said, though, if I ever was to have another one, I need to be in the hospital before labor starts. Because I had him in 6 hours. I had her in 4 hours. It was so fast that they want me to be in a hospital, which is cool. But anyway, yeah, so that's my fun story of birth. Just because, wow, I did not mean to go this long. Marianne, I was talking about earlier that my last student is a level 2 student, and she was teaching me some Chinese words. And so I wrote them. I keep forgetting if they're backwards or forwards for y'all. But anyway, she was helping herself to remember what the words were. So she was writing them down. She's writing them in Chinese and teaching me, and then she would teach me how to say the words. So that was pretty cool. It's a cool end of the morning. I went totally to Kelly, don't be mad at me, but I went to 29 minutes with her because we were learning the words and having fun. And she was my last class. So I went to 29 minutes. But it doesn't matter. We just were finishing up class, and it was fun. And I was finally awake. I had to take me all morning to wake up. But like I said, thank goodness for the VIP kid alarm. If it wasn't, I would have gotten some teacher no-shows this morning. Thank goodness the VIP kid alarm worked and went off and cannot be cut off easily when you're asleep. Because I can totally cut off an alarm in my sleep. I can walk across a room in my sleep, apparently, and not know it. So, anyway. Anybody have any questions for me before we go? Otherwise, I'm going to probably cut this off. It's like 48 minutes. I didn't realize I'd been on this here this long. I can talk. I told y'all before, I can talk about anything. Anybody have questions? Questions about anything? Marianne, how were your classes? Good? Bad? How many did you have? Got a grocery shop. Yeah, Evelyn, have fun grocery shopping. I ordered and got my groceries delivered yesterday. I didn't think you did, Marianne. I didn't think you did. I was wondering about that. So you don't have to do the demo for level 4 or 5? Yay! I did not have to do it. I did it for level 5. You had 12. Okay, I had 10. No. I had 7. I only had 7. That's right, I only had 7. I had 10 yesterday. 7 today. I didn't work last night. I was telling Evelyn I had every intent of going to bed last night, and I stayed up till 3 in the morning watching movies. Because my husband wasn't home. And I am a sucker for a movie and stalling. So I don't like going to bed without him. That's part of the reason I work nights. I don't work nights just for the money. I work nights because I like my husband home. I've gotten used to him being home now. It's not And now my mother-in-law will not sleep without another adult in the house. That's because she's scared. I'm not scared. I sleep better when he's next to me. Probably because he tells me, "Get off your phone, go to sleep." So, and he's warm. Like, I get hot in my sleep, but if he's not there, I'm cold. So, I'm weird. I guess it's because it's 10 years of marriage and all that. We've been through so much. But and if you want to know some of that, Marianne, you'll have to go back and watch it. I'm not going to go through all that again. But anyway, I only had 7 this morning. But like I said, if I hadn't had that app go off, I would not have been up for that first class. And luckily, like I said, let's see, the other day. Oh, I couldn't. Well, shoot. Okay, so you have a king size bed. When we were moving up here, we slept in a king size bed in a hotel, and he still was on my side of the bed. There's no point in me getting a king size bed. He's just gonna find me. He is not a PDA. He does not do PDA. He does not do holding hands in public or even holding hands at all. He does not, like at church or stuff, he may put his arm around like the back of where I'm sitting, but that's the extent of his showing that he likes me in public. Even when we're at home together, like he's not the type to come hug me or kiss me or anything. Occasionally he will, but not often. But when we go to bed at night, he is a cuddle bug. He has to be up against me cuddling me. He has to be at least touching me. Even if he's not cuddling, he has to be touching me. A leg, an arm, something's touching me. So it makes a difference when he's not home. And I'm used to him not being home, but it's still hard to fall asleep without him there. Unless I'm completely worn out, which is what I did last night. I wore myself out watching movies. So, but yeah, we've tried the king size bed. It was not a bed to ourselves. No, he still had to touch me. He still found me. He slept in the middle of the bed. So I'll just stick to our queen. Okay, so I do too. I'm okay with him touching me. I do not like, honestly, I get hot, so I do not like him to be cuddled all the way up against me all night. I don't sleep as well. I'll wake up constantly because I can't move. I'm the type that once I get in position, like if you're up against me and I'm laying there, I will fall asleep and I will not move all night. And after a while, my hip or knee will start hurting. I have a lot of issues still because of the sciatic nerve contractions with my right leg. I get a lot of pain in my sciatic nerve from it still because I think they damaged it or something when they did the epidural. So it hurts, and that's the side that I'm laying on if he's against me. I lay on my right side, and that's also my knee that I sprained a few months back. Sprained, twisted something, did something to it, and it's still not fully healed because if I go up and down the steps too much, because we live on 3rd floor, if I go up and down the steps too much, it starts to swell and flare up again and hurt. So I have to be careful how I treat that knee. But anyway, if I'm laying on it all night, it'll bother me after a while, so I'll wake myself up all night long. I'm good with him. I'm okay with him like leg touching my leg. I'm okay with that. But all they cuddle up against me, I don't sleep as well. But he doesn't do it all the time. He normally just has something touching me, like a leg or an arm or something. He'll fall asleep cuddling me and then he'll let me go. I do like free space too. I like to turn over. I like to sleep on my stomach. I like to wiggle and move and get comfortable. My problem is that I will sleep so heavy that my arms will fall asleep, however position I get into, because I don't move. And then I wake myself up to wake my arms up, and then I'll go back to sleep. So if you look at my little Fitbit, it tracks my sleep, and there's like tons of red spots where I'm constantly waking myself up. But anyway. All right, I'm going to get off here because my son has tried to wake my daughter 3 times, and she's not up yet, which means she's not going to go to sleep tonight, and it's already 10:30. Well, 10:30 my time. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank y'all for stopping by. If anybody watches this later, I'm probably going to leave this public for a day or so, and then I may make it private since I was talking about some private things. But I'll leave it public for at least a day because I don't have that many subscribers. But anyway, Have a great day. Evelyn, enjoy your grocery shopping. Mary Ann, I will see you later. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.